Welcome to the Business Legends Podcast, where we interview business leaders and entrepreneurs so that you can learn from their mistakes, grow your own inspiration, and pump up your bottom line. I'm the host of the show, Reece along with my co-host, the CEO of Business Marketing Solutions Group, Christian Webb. Good morning.
Good morning. How sore are you today, Reece?
I'm on the struggle bus royale. Let's not forget we are accompanied by the greatest videographer of all time. It's just underneath my face. Let's see if we can get him. Oh, got him! It's David Woodruff with Genesis Film TV. Make sure to show him some love. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Rachel Miner with Thrive Benefits. Did I get all that correct this time?
You did.
Yeah. We didn't have very much time to prepare, you know. So I'm pretty proud of the fact that we got it. So what is Thrive Benefits? It's definitely not the patch. So tell me about what you are and what you do.
We are a benefits consulting firm. We work with mid-market companies, mainly paternalistic companies who really care about their employees, helping them to have long-term sustainability of good benefits, and also helping their employees to be kind of better consumers of their health care.
Yeah, we're going to have to introduce you to actually last week's guest. His name's Thomas Henning, and his company has it's Stratus Clean, and so they'll go in and they're concerned about the wellness and well-being of all their employees, type of thing. That'd be a really good connection for you.
A lot of the same words coming out of both of you.
Yeah, it was almost
love,
eerie.
And care. And
Yeah, taking care of benefit, your employees.
I'm over here like, you got to market
that.
and make money. He's like, no, you just got to love.
Yeah, you just got to peace and love and tranquility for everyone, man. No, he's not, zen
He is a
like
great
that,
guy,
but
though.
he's tremendous. But nevertheless, so you do a lot of different benefits. I imagine that's everything from health insurance. Do you do anything in and out of the workplace as well, or primarily just insurance benefits and stuff like that?
It's primarily insurance benefits. So it's dental, vision, disability, life, cancer, critical illness, hospital indemnity. Pretty much just that. I focus on employee benefits. I'm not a jack of all trades. I try and be a master of one.
Yeah, that's brilliant. There's too many people over and over and over again on this show. We see that people are trying to do too much at once, and I love using probably, I don't know, episode 12 or something. We had Carol White join us, and her company is Payroll Plus HCM. And she was talking about payroll, and as she was talking about it, my eyes were rolling in the back of my head because I had no idea what she was talking about whatsoever. I was smiling. I was like, oh, yeah, totally, Carol. I know what you're talking about. But people just try to do too much with too little, know? And it's incredible that there's this mindset where if you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, you have to do everything yourself. And you just don't. And that's one of the big things that we try to promote on this show, type of thing. But anyway, needless to say, with all that, how has your business changed through COVID? I mean, what's that like?
Yeah, like ring.
Yeah.
How do I protect my employees from getting COVID?
Yeah, like what's that about?
Guys, my business hasn't changed at all with COVID.
Oh,
wow.
Interesting.
No, I'm totally kidding.
I was gonna say,
totally
you're the only one?
yeah, about that. Congratulations.
So
You're one of one.
Our business has changed tremendously. I don't know if y'all follow health insurance too much, but the carriers.
It's what I like
My
on
hobby.
It's a hot
Instagram.
topic, right?
hobby, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's sexy. So the carriers announced back in March that they were going to be waiving cost sharing for any COVID-related treatments. And so one of the big things that we've seen is that there's a lot of uncertainty, not to get too like nerdy or anything, but basically when the actuaries created the premiums for this year, they never factored in COVID-related expenses.
Sure, how could they?
Yeah, I mean, nobody anticipated this, and so...
Only if you created COVID.
Yeah.
Actuary math on COVID 2019.
Your actuary's working Wuhan by chance.
So Covered California did a study where basically they think that rates are going to go up in the fully insured market about 40% up to for next year. Yeah, so it's going to be kind of a challenge. One of the biggest things we're seeing is companies being more open to innovation now than they've ever been, just because they can't really sustain that type of increase. And so we've seen that. We've also seen a lot more people utilizing their health insurance.
Yeah, imagine so.
And then we've seen
40% increase. That would
huge.
be detrimental to companies with like 400 employees plus.
Totally.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a huge piece of their overhead too.
That's literally like saying, here's a couple $1 million coming out of your pocket every year.
Yeah, all for effectively the same coverage. It's just with the additional challenge,
It's the second largest expense behind payroll.
Yeah.
So it really is something on everybody's P&L that they should be taking a look at every year.
Yeah.
But I think that things like this generally will force companies, whether they want to or not, to take a look and say, how the heck can we be controlling this in a better way?
Yeah, no kidding. What types of innovative things do you think that your company and others like it will come up with in order to deter that type of cost?
So I specifically work with self-funded employers. So I basically look at working with employers who are willing to push the envelope. They look at the traditional model and say, it's not necessarily working for me. I want to have more control. I want to be able to incentivize my employees to make better decisions. And so we basically take the traditional model, we break it apart, and we take best-in-class vendors and we piece it back together.
Gotcha.
Which allows us to have a lot more control. It allows us to have kind of a win-win for both the employer and the employees. We're lowering deductibles. We're, lowering copays. We're basically trying to help middle-class families to have to not bear that burden of having crazy healthcare costs, and then helping employers to be able to offer really good benefits.
Because the other option is not to offer benefits.
Yeah.
Totally.
Which is, that's sad.
Well, and it's somewhat illegal in some situations with certain.
Yeah, it is.
as well.
So anybody who's an applicable large employer has to offer benefits through the ACA, but I only work with employers that are over 100 employees, and so mine all have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, they face the penalty. But some employers, you're right, are choosing to say, you know what, this is cost prohibitive. I'd rather take the penalty than offer the insurance.
Yeah, because it's either pay your employees less so you can afford the insurance, or buy the insurance and just come out of pocket.
Totally.
It's kind of a toss up.
It's a scary thing. It's a scary circumstance for sure. I'll never forget back when I was in grad school. Him and I were actually personal trainers. No, you can't tell anymore, but it's been a rough 10 years on us, buddy. But anyway,
self-inflicted.
I did. Yeah, that's definitely true. But we
That's weird since y'all are only 25, right?
yeah,
Yes,
exactly. New favorite guest. Congratulations, you just nailed it right there. Yes, 25 exactly. If you want to card me when I purchase alcohol, then that'll put you in my good graces.
Increases your tip immediately.
And instantaneously. I will not be offended. I promise. If anybody's listening, always card Reece. But anyway, I did a research project on essentially. It was a big project on employee overhead, and it ranged in everything from healthcare benefits to employee wellness, things like that. Something I was very passionate about at the time, and something I still care very deeply about. But long story short, the summation of all of this entire project was that when employers set aside money for wellness things beyond benefits. So insurance, of course, is very important when something happens to you, when you get sick, or when something, maybe you fall and break something or something like that. But when employers were paying for things like their employees' personal training or diet care or seeing dietitians and stuff like that, overwhelmingly, all of the employees, they ended up saving money on that, even though they were paying for an additional service because everybody was so much healthier.
Absolutely.
So, I think there's a huge need for that in the industry, and that goes back to what you were talking about with taking apart the old model type of thing. Have you done any work with that? Any types of stuff like that? Or
it's actually really funny that you mentioned that, because I had a call this morning at 8:00 to go over a mid-year review with one of my clients. Their second largest expense right now is nutrition counseling, and their employees are taking huge advantage of it. And we're super excited about it because their drug spend is significantly lower and their employees are healthier. And I think anything you can do to be proactive and have more of like a functional type of medicine versus a reactive type of medicine certainly helps your population. I think that we don't really provide health care. We kind of provide sick care.
Yeah,
we really do.
For our health insurance.
Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day. It's
and
like
our obesity rates show it. Like, it's bad.
Oh, for
crazy.
sure. Yeah, and it's just getting worse and worse. One of the things we were talking about just the other day was that obviously COVID is upon us. We're taking extra precautions with hand sanitizers, washing hands, social distancing, wearing masks, and whatever else. But have you guys seen anything on the news about maybe try to take some multivitamins and eat some fruits and get 9 hours of sleep per night and that proactive care type of things? I haven't seen anything on that type
Nothing.
of stuff. Yeah, and it's really a shame. It's a failure, in my opinion, of our entire healthcare system.
I don't think that the system is broken. I think the system is working exactly as it was intended to. And it's funny because, just to give you an example, my son has a lot of allergies. He's got 55 allergies.
Oh, wow.
And there's a treatment that is widely used in the rest of the world to cure allergies. It's called SLIT therapy, subimmunolingual therapy, which I'm sure y'all are going to research after this.
If I can spell it.
But yeah.
Subimmunolingual therapy. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
But basically, it's a couple drops underneath the tongue of a very, very, very diluted amount of the allergen, and it desensitizes your body over time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Our insurance in the U.S. does not cover it. And the reason why we don't cover it is because the pharmaceutical companies can't make any money off of it.
Yeah.
So it's more lucrative in our healthcare system to treat than it is to cure. And so that is the way that everything works in our healthcare system. Things that could be a fix, like having fresh fruits for things like diabetes or obesity, we don't incentivize and we don't provide benefits for it because it's not a money-making opportunity.
Yeah, we'd rather supply heart medicine instead of supplying a gym membership early.
Totally.
Yeah. It's really a shame, man. That's one of my biggest pet peeves about the way our modern society works, to be honest, is that it's like if it forget what's good and what's bad and what's good for people's health and bad for people's health. It's all about the money. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like you have big pharma pushing drugs and pushing medications and medicines, down people's throats, and there's not that level of self-sustaining care type of thing in the industry, but it's just really a shame,
Yeah.
And I almost wonder, and I hope, this is my hope, that with all of the COVID precautions that we've been forced to take, I hope that it makes people think about their health a little bit more seriously. America is the leader in many industries, and one of the things that it's absolutely the leader in is diabetes and cardiovascular disease and obesity and all of those horrible things that isn't helping people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're not making people wear calorie counters.
Yeah.
Which I think we need to make that a calorie counter that you have to wear.
A calorie counter that
It's a
wear.
locked necklace until you have your
Seems
diet
like it'd
under
be
control.
difficult based on what you're shoving in your face, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you put a mask on them.
we'll talk about it. So anyway, actually, back to that. It's interesting.
The reason he's
you say
against that, by the way, is because he's a donut guy.
Dude, don't be talking about donuts. Speaking of donuts, hang on. Let's take a sidebar on this one.
I like donuts.
We passed by Krispy Kreme to get to the Panera we meet at before this, and I saw the hot now light was on. I came this close to stopping. Like it was.
So my kids, I have 3 kids. We eat very healthy 95% of the time, but every time we pass Krispy Kreme, I'll look at the kids and I'll say, "Are they hot?" And they are the ones to scream, "They're hot!"
Yeah, if
and
they're
when they
hot
do,
now.
I'm like so quickly peeling into that, and I'll tell you, I could probably eat 6 hot Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh, yeah,
they're
yeah.
phenomenal.
He's the reason I had my first one, I think, because we were going to.
they're so good.
He's like, "You've never had one?" He's like, "If the lights on,
I was like
we're stopping."
offended. I was like offended.
I was like, "Okay, whatever. I'll have one."
Well, this
It was
story,
actually delicious. I'm glad I'm
They
glad
are
I've never had
delicious.
one.
this story gets a little weirder than that because we don't have a Krispy Kreme up north where we're at in the Lake Norman area. Thank God. I'd weigh quite a bit more if we did, but we went snowboarding, and so we went to Sugar Mountain, and literally we have to detour to get to the Krispy Kreme. It's not a far detour. I mean, it's like maybe a mile or something on the way back home, and we were talking about it on the way back, and I mean, we'd been skiing, snowboarding all day, and at that point it's like just eat what you want because you're definitely at a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
But so we took a detour to go to it or whatever, and he's like, "This is so stupid. I can't believe we're doing this." Like he was actually physically mad at me, but that I made him stop, and I was like, "The hot now lights on, we're going." And I think. So I know we got the hot now Krispy Kremes, but didn't we go through Bojangles after that?
We did.
Not my
We put the
proudest
extra
moment.
on it. We put the extra on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not my proudest moment, I must say, but
I needed a calorie counter right then.
But yeah, it would have been that would have been
That
your
would have like
invention.
buzzed you when you had already maxed out your
So
calories.
if an entire business makes their employees wear calorie counters, would it lower their insurance?
I think anything you do proactively to increase someone's health will lower their spend.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it.
I actually have a strange story about that. So when I was in grad school, I had a lot of classmates that were working at Lowe's corporate in Mooresville, and I knew this guy very well. His branch or whatever in Lowe's, they bought everybody a Fitbit, and it was like that first gen Fitbit because I was in school, 10 years ago or whatever, and they basically created this. It was employee driven, so it didn't come from the corporate down, but they got it approved to where corporate bought them all a Fitbit type of thing. And long story short, they ended up getting into this interpersonal competition to get steps in and whatever the Fitbit does or whatever else type of thing. And lo and behold, go figure, you already know the ending of this story. Even though the corporate office had spent thousands of dollars getting this whole branch of Fitbit, at the end of the challenge, for the most part, every single person weighed less, they had lower BMI, and long story short, the story was that they ended up saving more on the health insurance annually based on the condition of the employees at that point. So,
totally.
Yeah, which, I mean, just makes perfect sense. It's like, why don't more companies do this type of thing? So it's just a really interesting thing. Let's shift gears a little bit. On Business Legends, we like to talk to fresh up and coming entrepreneurs, people that decide to kind of jump off the ledge and you know, take the trip down working 80 hours a week so you don't have to work 40 for somebody else type of thing. But so how did you get started in this specific industry? What was your step like?
Well, I will tell you that it was not the cleanest of paths. My business is just coming up on 2 years. And like in the next week.
Wow.
Oh, LinkedIn's lying.
Happy anniversary.
LinkedIn is lying, yes.
Happy anniversary.
Thank
It's like
you.
2 years and like 2 months.
Yeah, I know. It does a month ahead. I'm like, LinkedIn, stop.
It read your mind.
Yeah,
Stop
it
at
did.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
The funny thing is, though, is that I did it at the most inopportune time. I was going through a divorce.
Wow.
Had 3 kids, and was like, if I had to double down on anybody, I'd double down on myself all day long. And I had been working for another local agency and wanted to kind of move upstream. I wanted to do innovating things. I wanted to kind of push the envelope. And I really am crazy passionate about our industry. My son, like I said, had a lot of health issues. He's had seizures. He's had autoimmune-like issues. He's got 55 allergies. And so I've been that frustrated parent who's like, what the hell's going on here? Like, we've had all these tests. We don't know what's going on. Like, we've spent thousands of dollars. We've hit our max out of pocket. And so I became a very big advocate for my son and myself. And I was like, I see an opportunity to do things better than they're currently done. And so that's kind of how Thrive got started. There was a very large pun intended when I came up with the name. I thought if I could get employers, employees, communities engaged, I could really make people thrive. I've always believed in health. I ran track in college. I was a dancer for 18 years. I played soccer and lacrosse.
Oh, wow.
Athlete, yeah. 105 pounds of Jack Steel.
Oh, yeah, that got you. Jack Steel. That's perfect.
So I have always been really successful in sales, but I never found anything that I felt like was my calling. And being a millennial, I was like, I need something that I feel, you know, like I'm making a contribution to society. And I love my job. Like I cannot imagine doing anything else. I totally believe that God placed this in my path. And I totally love what I do.
So what was the process like? I know you want to double down on yourself. What was it like to go from the other industry? Was there a breaking point where you just decided, hey, I'm going to do this for myself now, or what was the process like for you?
That's a good question. I would say that in January 2 years ago, so I started in August. In January, I was like, I got to do this. Like, I have always had a very entrepreneurial spirit. I've started different businesses. I owned a frozen organic baby food company years ago.
Oh, cool.
That sold at farmers markets, co-ops in Buffalo, New York. And we got too big, and they were like, hey, we're going to need you to get your own kitchen. And it just, at the time I was doing it part-time, I was like, this doesn't fit in my life.
Yeah.
But I basically made a plan, like, you're doing this. And then I remember mid-year, I was like, what am I waiting on? Like, if I'm going to do it, to your point, Reece, I was like, I got to jump off the cliff. Like, I don't know. This has got to be done. And I remember talking to a business coach who I thought I'd use once I started the business. And he was like, you're a single mom of 3 kids. Like, this business is going to be really an uphill climb, like, to make successful. And I remember being like, challenge accepted.
Yeah. Maybe
like,
that was
you're
the
no
kick you
help.
needed.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do this.
Why did I hire
I'm
you?
going to prove you wrong.
Are you trying to get hired right now? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like,
And so, it was kind of like a weird process of where I talked to one of my clients and was like, hey, so I'm starting to kind of think about doing this on my own. And they were like, yeah, we'll come with you.
oh, wow.
And I was like, huh. Okay.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
that's
all right.
that's a good little foundational piece.
Yeah.
We were discussing this just the other day, something kind of similar in that, most retainer operated businesses, they kind of have like a staple client, or they have like they have a customer that you have a very good personal relationship with, and it's like they'll come with you through hell and high water type
Totally.
thing, and it's one of those things where you didn't jump off the cliff without a bungee cord type
Totally.
of thing. Like you had something that maybe pushed you off type of thing. And it's very interesting. It's great when you shift from a business that you're already doing, because you've already learned what you need to do type of thing. And then it's a matter of just doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Totally.
People think that there's like some smooth transition to opening a business. No.
Yeah. If there's one thing that Business Legends has taught me, it's that there's no linear path.
No, there's no
whatsoever.
blueprint. It's so funny because I have other like younger insurance agents who are like, I'm thinking about going out on my own. Like, you make it seem so glamorous, and I'm like, there is nothing glamorous here.
If you think it's glamorous, we need to talk about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm the chief bottle washer. Like, I'm everything.
Right. Scrub a toilet at 11 p.m. After after a full night of drinking type of thing.
Totally.
That's what entrepreneurship's more like. It's very interesting from an outside in perspective. I think there's a little bit of grass is always greener with people like that.
But I don't regret it at all. Like opening a business, I guess that was just what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like I would rather work 60 to 80 hours for myself and him.
Totally.
Versus working for somebody else.
We've determined that I'm unemployable too. So,
I literally was just going to say to you, my dad uses this term that he's always used with me to tell me that I'm functionally unemployable.
Oh yeah.
Because I see things that are wrong and I vocalize them.
Yeah, you have the same personality.
I have a very visionary personality, and I'm also very operationally like, wait a minute, why are we doing this? And people will be like, well, we've been doing it for 10 years. And I'm like, well, maybe it needs changing then. And they're like, don't call my baby ugly. And I'm like, but your baby is ugly.
That might get a little personal, but
Yes.
I totally see where you're coming from. Like,
But I like it.
Yeah. You share that personality trait in common. Dan is the other person that I think about. We have a good friend named Dan, Mike's partner, Mike Sims' partner.
Oh yeah.
Mike and Dan have a similar relationship to Christian and myself, and the fact that they've been best friends for a long time, and they have a business together.
They're both like 6'8".
Yeah, they're both
that's fun.
gigantic individuals, but they're like giant like cuddly bears every time. Oh hey man, how are you doing? And that's exactly how both of them sound that way too. Oh hey man, how are you doing? And Mike, I was asking Mike about Dan the other day. I had lunch with Mike, and Mike's like, oh, Dan. he goes, thank God he works with me, because he ain't working nowhere else. So that's what Christian will be saying here.
Yeah.
Years. Oh, Reece, thank God Reece works with me, because he won't be working anywhere else. So it's interesting how that type of thing. I think there's a personality. I don't know if it's a trait or a characteristic or a personality type, if you believe in that type of thing, but there's something that kind of channels and harnesses the entrepreneurial spirit. And
Totally.
it's like once it bites you, it's permanent.
Yeah.
I could never imagine working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with people that do. It's just I wouldn't be happy doing it. Type
Yeah.
of thing. I'd always look out. I'd always look out and think, what can I do, for myself to grow something. One of my business mentors talks a lot about legacy, and so he thinks about how creating a legacy with something that you've done. Some people feel more honorable making peanuts per year if they've created something that followed their own passion or their own influence or that type of thing, than somebody that's a CEO at Bank of America or something like that. But anyway, it's an interesting climb, and every business has their different journey, their different set of challenges and stuff like that. And speaking of that, what types of challenges do you have in the benefits industry? What's some of the ugly things that you see?
Oh my goodness,
Dealing
where do
with people,
I start?
right?
Lots of babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with that one. I think that people see entrepreneurship, like you said, as some linear path, and it totally isn't. I mean, you never realize that you messed up on something until you messed up, and then you're like, shit, why didn't I? Sorry.
Oh, you can say shit on
okay.
Business Legends for
All
sure.
right.
Yeah.
Actually, shit's
we
called for.
we went. I kind of went off about 4 episodes ago, and we were talking about free shit. Anyway, you'll have to listen to that episode, because I was like on my high horse that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was probably one of our better episodes between him and I have done like 5 uniquely together, I guess.
Nice.
And that was definitely the one that stands out to me. It's just going on a rant and tangent about free shit. So anyway,
That's funny.
please continue. So you know.
No, so I think that you run into these potholes that you never knew were there, and then all of a sudden you're like, how did I not know this was a pothole I'd fall into? And so I think my biggest wonky path has been through like operationally being a manager of people and, you know, creating all these different processes, because I think a lot of times you emulate what you've seen.
Sure.
And the agency that I used to work for, I don't think that they worked with the same type of clients. And so I don't think operationally it's the same process. And so I've kind of had to re-engineer the process, which in a lot of ways has been very foreign to me. And I'm super analytical and I'm very hard on myself. I am definitely my own worst critic. And so I think that figuring out that path and how to make myself be where I feel proud of it and where I feel like things are kicking ass and has been a really big, challenge for me to learn and grow. But I found it really good. I posted on LinkedIn 2 days ago. I lost my first client.
Oh, wow.
2 days ago. And it was really funny because I sent them a report last night telling them that they had just saved $370,000 the first 6 months. So sometimes you lose clients because the personalities just don't mesh. Sometimes you lose them because you're not saving them enough money, which is never my case. But I think that everybody wants to be treated differently.
Sure.
And every business is so insanely unique. And there's a lot of paternalistic businesses where, although it's a finance decision, HR is super involved. And I think being a chameleon has also been a big learning experience.
Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. We've discussed these exact same things many times.
Yeah.
Like with different industries, different people. And at the end of the day, you can almost always sum businesses up by their interpersonal relationships.
Totally.
And it's very interesting because there's certain personality types. Christian and I are very similar people. We have very similar personalities, but when we're different, we're dead opposite. And we're dead opposite on a lot of things. But there's certain personalities that he handles much better than I do, for example.
Totally.
And the same goes vice versa. But it's particularly challenging. And one of the biggest challenges that I've learned through different careers and whatnot is that you can do a good job for somebody 12 days in a row. And the 13th, maybe you're having a bad day, broke up with your girlfriend, or you got into a fight with her or something, or you just didn't get enough sleep that night, and you kind of snap on them a little bit, and they just run out on you, type of thing. We live in a very flighty world where sometimes I feel like the loyalty is a little less than what it used to be.
Totally.
Yeah, we had this customer. I won't say their name or anything, but it was 4 months. We were killing it for them, and I think it was around July 4th. We had everybody takes vacation July 4th, right? So we had some forwarded emails going out for one of our campaign managers, and we didn't get back to the customer. They emailed us July 3rd at like 10 p.m. We got back to them on July 5th. And before we got back to them that morning on July 5th, they had emailed a cancellation letter to us, even though they had gotten positive ROI for 4 months in a row.
Super positive, too. Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But the final, if there's any one thing that I believe truly about business is that we're better off without them. Honest to God, I truly believe that, because if they're going to be that unreasonable with something like that, and especially not giving you an opportunity to explain, you've done a good job for them at every corner, type of thing, and they're operating outside of the realm of reason, they're probably going to be too much of a pain in the neck.
But at the same time, for people who want to be business owners, I feel like you absolutely have to most of the time reflect inwardly.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
totally.
can't fix your customers. You can only fix what your process is like.
Yep.
And that's all there is to it. You can't go, customer change.
Right.
But I think that that's the biggest blessing in disguise when you're an entrepreneur, is that you look at things like that and say, what could I have done? Because relationships dissolve for 2 reasons.
I did that too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
But I would say that overall it's pushed me to be a better business owner. It's pushed me to be a better manager. It's pushed me to, be better operationally, which I don't think is my natural strong suit. And so I think that those challenging customers, or those ones who, are difficult to please, are generally the ones that teach you the most about what you want out of your business and what you don't want out of your business, and that type of thing.
I agree 100%. I will say personally that's been my business struggle, or my business struggle. My biggest business struggle as an entrepreneur is reflecting inwardly.
Only child, egotistical. He has a lot of trouble reflecting inwardly.
Hey, listen, for all of my sins, self-awareness is not one of them. But it's very difficult when I get into a situation like that.
I couldn't tell he was an only child.
But that's why we're so well balanced. Like, he'll come to me and be like, "This happened and it's so unreasonable." Like, okay, what did we do wrong? How can we fix it?
What are you talking about?
No, we didn't do anything
wrong. We're perfect. I'm awesome. I love me.
I say we, and he goes, "I didn't do anything wrong."
What are you talking about? I'm awesome. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, that pretty much sums up our time for today. Thanks for joining us, and especially for the ending rant there. But let's say we got a business that's looking for some help with their employee benefits and such. How can they get a hold of you?
They can email me, rminer, MINER, at thrive, THRIVE, -benefits, plural.com, or they can call me. I mean, I'm more than happy to give out my phone number. It's 704-449-7718.
Okay. Perfect. Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have a funny question? I don't have any funny
I don't have a funny question,
Man,
actually.
we've been really slacking on that.
I normally have really funny answers, so that's kind of a bummer.
Oh, no. The
TikTok.
thing.
Yeah.
The TikTok
All right,
thing.
so explain us the TikTok thing and do us TikTok.
All right. So
Fair warning, this will be the thumbnail for the video.
Yeah,
Save money on insurance.
Shy and awkward guy on TikTok. He does food reviews. He's very shy and awkward guy. Yeah, he. My daughter and I.
I can't deal with this.
My daughter and I started watching these, and our favorite one is a Red Lobster one, where he basically just gets plates full of food and he eats them and he makes comments on them, and it's a total spoof. It's not his normal personality. I'm not making fun of like somebody with a disability, but his accent when he eats the Cheddar Bay biscuits is like, Cheddar Bay biscuit, and it's the best. You gotta watch it.
Yeah. I will say you nailed it. I'm so glad that I turned my mic off. I was losing it off camera here, but you definitely sound like our friend Tim for
Thank
sure.
you.
Anyways, but Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.